And we are live. What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny. This will be episode 73. And we're going to talk about a little quick snippet about the election, right? Early voting is going on today. If you're having early voting, I'm pretty sure most people have early voting. I implore you to go vote because, as much as the trends are going against the Democratic Party, we need to show out, blow out, grab a friend. I'm gonna start early voting next week. I'll probably vote on Wednesday. You guys know where I'm going with it already. I'm looking. Hey, can someone send me a clip? I need a clip of a bunch of black women telling me not to vote for Trump as I drive to the early voting today. I mean, not today, but next week. But I encourage everyone to go vote. I implore you to get friends, try to convince people because honestly, we need Trump to win, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you guys, bro. All the things that have been happening this week, it should be empowering. Like, yo, like the sentiment is not in Kamala's favor. And I think that if you get an undecided voter, I think if you make your case, don't try to demonize them. Don't try to say if you vote for Kamala Harris, don't try to fearmonger about Kamala Harris. Just pick your side. And I'm gonna try to give an example of that here in this video. Hopefully there'll be some examples of that. LJ Taylor says, same here. Got to look up candidates in Crowley first. Yeah, whatever your local, uh, hey, local politics are different than national politics, but for the most part, hey, regardless of where you lean, I'm gonna give my best case for why you shouldn't go for Kamala, why you should go for Trump. And one example is many public sentiments. As you all know from the Fox News interview, majority of Americans believe we're going in the wrong direction, and I think this is also what's uh, emboldening these polls that's trending away from the Democrats. Wisconsin became the latest to move away from Kamala. Not just the betting markets, Trump takes lead in battleground state polling. Donald Trump has taken a lead over Vice President Kamala Harris across key battleground states. It's not just the betting markets, also polls looking into the 2024 House race. On Thursday, Rasmussen Polls in America Think unveiled the results of a poll that showed Donald Trump ahead 49-42. Now, I saw some never Trumpers making fun of this. It's a shame that Donald Trump is only up 2%. And my argument has always been that Donald Trump has always overperformed compared to previous elections. All you got to do is look at the polling in 2016, look at the polling in 2020. The races were a lot closer than what the polls indicated during those two time periods, right? And I don't want to bore you guys with all the talk, obviously, because we here for the clips. But I want to show you an example because Kamala Harris, if you look at her policies, all her policies has to do with funding the government to do certain initiatives. Okay. How many government employees does it take to move one small log? Any guesses in the live chat? How many employees do you think it takes to move one small log? Remember, this is the government managing it. I'll wait a little bit while I get the video set up. Any takers? Going once? Going twice? Sold. Okay, I'm gonna show you the video. 12. 12? I think that's a pretty close guess. Well, let's check out the video. Let me get the video propped up for you guys. Sorry, let me get the pretty. Oh, and thanks for all the prayers. I really appreciate you guys, keeping me in your thoughts during Hurricane Milton, because this what inspired me to put this clip in my live stream today. Some say 2, and question is, let's count together, guys. One small log in Milton. This is going on right now. Not right now, but this is how the government chose to, how you say it, manage the recovery in her for her after the I can't talk today, guys. After the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. Let's take a look. You got 1, you got 2, you got 3, you got 4, you got 5, you got 6, you got 7, you got 8, you got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 people it took to move one small log. Taxpayer money at work. And you wonder why I'm a big advocate of Elon Musk government efficiency committee. Those dudes could have moved 13 logs at the same time, but no, they want to stay in line and move one small log all the way to a pile. So Cheese Leon, you was off by 1. LG Taylor gave the government too much credit, So these things, right? Let's read the reaction. The video was blasted by social media users who quipped that using over a dozen people and taking 20 seconds to move a log around 30 feet was a perfect example of the federal government's inefficiencies. And Kamala Harris' policies all centered around the fact that she wants to give the government more power and leverage over your like, make it make sense. Make it make sense, guys. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. And you wonder why Donald Trump is leading in the polls, right? You wonder why. The government proves to you every day why you should keep more of your money. All right. To me, if you're going to vote for Kamala Harris, if you're going to vote for Democrats, it's because you believe the Democrats, the government can manage your money better than you can manage your money. And in most cases, just like all of us sat here and saw, if you were in charge of FEMA, any normal person, give me a like in the comment section, bro. I need a like the video right now. Everyone watching, like the video right now, because I need more people to see this, because this is some insanity. Any person would have been able to do a better job with FEMA than whoever's running FEMA right now. And this is who you say should get you should get taxed more. These are the people you say should be managing your resources. Let's roll this is a highlight reel, guys. Highlight reel. What happens when you give the government your money, right? Because if you are managing, hey, how do we clear out one small log versus the government clearing one small log? You would have saved us a lot more money. Any of you, there's 9 people currently watching in this live stream. I need more likes, by the way, guys. There's 9 people currently watching this live stream right now. I bet you if I made you guys, hey, you're in charge of clearing out all the debris, you would have done a better job and you would have saved more taxpayer money than these people here. Let's play the clip. Replay time. Oh, this is what happened when you replay time. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Like, it's like they just wanted to take a break, right? And as we get further in the video, I'm gonna show numerous examples of this. But it's video time. I gotta give my voice a little break, and I think I stopped at a good point. Meme of the day. Shout out to Liberal Hive Mind, who I'll be using his video as a reference point for my angle in this live stream. And this is a meme, right? Kamala Harris, she blames Trump. She's asked a question. She gives an incoherent statement. She laughs, apparently. And then she blames Trump again. Pretty much, I summarize in this meme the Fox News interview. But I digress. Let's take a look at this clip. And then, as usual, I'll give you some commentary throughout.
So I'm sure you guys are aware of this term. We've been speaking about it for years. The notion or the idea of the secret Trump voter or the shy Trump voter. People who are too shy to signal their support for Donald Trump, or people who are too scared to signal their support for Donald Trump because of mostly all the backlash that would follow. People who aren't showing up on the polling data, but essentially who are showing up when it's time to vote. We've been talking about this phenomenon for a while, mostly because, well, you have to kind of enter it into your analysis when analyzing these polls.
And which was I stated that Trump always get more support than what is captured in the polls, because people, I don't know if it's true. Maybe you guys let me know in the comment section. If you're watching this on the replay, let me know in the comment section. If you're watching the live chat, let me know in the comment section, in the chat. But in 2024, I think there's less like secret Trump voters than there used to be, right? In 2020, I was a lot quieter about my support for Trump than I am in 2024. I can promise you that. 4 years ago, I wouldn't tell a soul that I was voting for Donald Trump. Now in 2024, I don't give a damn. You ask me, you might mess around and find out. I'm on that train today. Because honestly, I felt the reason why Donald Trump lost the 2020 election is because people weren't more outspoken about their support for Donald Trump, and people felt like they didn't have the courage to vote for Donald Trump, right? Like, the pandemic, a lot of things went right for the Democratic Party. And I just think people fell for the messaging from the media saying, if Donald Trump just gets out of office, everything will return to normal. And I think that was what beat Donald Trump. This is what allowed Biden to win. And the fact that they stifled the Hunter Biden laptop story, which is the biggest claim of election interference I've ever seen in my life, where an entity and is I'm gonna return back to this point, where an institution like journalism, which is overwhelmingly dominated by liberals, journalism is considered the most liberal profession in the world. They stifled information that was true, but because they didn't want Donald Trump to win, they categorize it as false. And this is why Donald Trump didn't go on the 60-minute interview, because he said he wanted an apology because he was called spreading misinformation. He was called a liar, just like Byron Donalds this week. It's been a week of vindication. Byron Donalds was called a liar because he said crime is up, crime is not up, crime is down, says effeminate black Democrat. 2 weeks later, oops, FBI updates because they missed 1,600 murders. I forget how much murders. And it showed the graph that crime is actually up 4.5%. You can't make this up, guys. But you want to blame Trump. Okay.
It's a real thing, and I think it continues to be a real thing, so you've heard me talk about it a lot. This year, we have something new. We have a new phenomenon. It's not just the secret Trump voter, it's also the invisible Kamala voter. Where the hell are these people? I keep hearing about them. Supposedly, they're everywhere, but for some reason, it almost feels as if they don't actually exist. Remember this moment?
How many folks support Vice President Harris? Any hands? No hands.
Wow.
Okay.
It's nobody's business.
It's nobody's business, says one man. So there you go.
It's nobody's business, is it? Boy, I think he was a secret Kamala voter, bro. But it's so crazy how 4 years has changed, right? So my calculation is, and this is who I'm really speaking to for this video, for this live stream, is for the people who's trying to advocate to their family members. I get comments all the time saying, Kenny, your statements, the things, the arguments you outline here, they help me a lot in talking to my family members about the political stuff. And I'm happy that I can help in some way. And this video is kind of like a video that I would want my mom to watch, because in reality, sorry guys, my mom's voting for Kamala Harris. I know. Kenny, your mom should know. It don't work like that, especially in my household. You know, in Haitian culture, you don't talk to you can't tell your elders nothing. Nada. All right? You can't tell them nothing. My mom will say, Kisa? Kisa udi? What? Bruh. I tried. But my mom voted Harris, guys. Sad reality. But I tried. So this video is for those secret Kamala Harris supporters who feels too ashamed to admit that they're voting for Kamala Harris because they believe in emotional symbolism. That's all I'm trying to say. Right? That's all I'm trying to say. And I'm just trying to say, hey, look, you watch this in your private time. You're still second guessing yourself. Should you vote for this lady who can't seem to answer questions, don't want to show up? Everything's Trump's fault, but she ain't telling you anything to do, how she's gonna fix it. This is the lady you want to vote for. And I am here to, say, reconsider your options, please, for the fate of the country, please. Voting for the same party that got you in this mess is insanity. All right. I'm done talking. Let's continue with the reaction.
I tried, Maria, and
interesting.
fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow. Interesting. Well,
A group of diverse union workers, I think in New Jersey if I'm not mistaken, asked if they support Kamala Harris, and nobody raised their hand.
That's New York. And no one raised their hands? Oh my God.
Then, of course, we had a news segment where journalists had traveled from restaurant to restaurant in search for a single Kamala voter, and it took her multiple restaurants just to be able to find one.
We had so much fun, but what was really incredible is in every single restaurant of the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant, and we left no stone unturned. I approached every single person.
And now, here we go again. A pretty similar phenomenon in the swing state of Arizona. MSNBC is searching far and wide for a single Kamala Harris supporter, and they couldn't even find one.
I'm not playing these videos for you guys to be complacent. I'm not playing for these videos for you guys to say we got it in the bag. I play these videos so you could be motivated to vote and also motivated to advocate for Trump. Because end of the day, I think that's what's going to take. Especially if you live in a swing state. Like me, I live in Florida. It's kind of a given that there's a good chance Trump's going to win this state by 5%. There's a good chance. Great chance, actually. This place, I think Florida hasn't voted blue since 2012, maybe, I think. Since Obama, essentially. Florida has not voted blue for a Democrat since Obama. So there's a pretty safe chance that this place is going to go red here in Florida. Now, other places, if you're in a swing state like Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, yeah, you try to convince your family members. I'm still mad about the fact that my mom's voting for Harris, man. Oh, and my aunt and my uncle, but you can't tell old people nothing, bro. I'm being serious, bro. Some people they're just comfortable voting Democrat, right? I have more inroads with my young friend, like younger people, like in my neighborhood here. I'm able, they're a little more open to the idea. I got a neighbor 2 houses away from me who's voting Trump. I got a neighbor after that. He's a police officer. He's definitely voting Trump because he's a Crowder supporter. He loves Crowder, and he supports my videos. Shout out to you. He know who he is. So, I'm doing my part here too, okay? Even though I failed with my family, I made it up somewhere else. But I think if everyone commits to be like, yo, let me just talk to 3 people, at least get them to consider Trump. I'm not even asking you to get them to say, I'm going to vote for Trump. Just consider it. If you got them to actually think about it, I think you did your job. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. I'll give this video 1 more minute, and then I'll go on to the next segment in my video.
It's the phenomenon of the non-existent Kamala voter. Let's have a conversation about it. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So let me tell you, if you're one of those blue anon folk, watching MSNBC to get your daily Trump derangement syndrome fix, oh, he's definitely going to prison this time, well, you might be in store for something a little bit different these days. It seems like reality's hitting pretty frickin' fast.
And I should note, we did not find a single person who audibly would tell us that they voted for Kamala Harris. These were Trump supporters getting out to vote early in the all-important Mojave County. Take a listen to some of our conversations.
Well, the difference is going to be that everybody's coming out early, and everybody that we talked to has made a special effort this year to vote, and you can see it here in the parking lot. This library's usually got 5 cars in it. There's a ton of cars in it now.
Said you voted early for the first time.
For the first time.
Why did you vote early this year?
Honestly, because Donald Trump told me to.
And I think I can end that video right there. Because I think that's very important. The fact that Donald Trump advocated for it. Because let's keep it a buck. During Arizona, the machines broke, right? And let's say Trump voters had done the early voting as often as if they did early voting like we're doing early voting now in 2024, I think Kari Lake would have had a better chance of winning, if not win the state of Arizona. But because of the fact that the machines had problems and it delayed people coming in person and voting at the day of the election, it gave the Democrats an advantage because Democrats were more willing to do early voting and mail-in ballots, right? And the fact that Republicans and Turning Point USA, they're really pushing the engagement for the young people to go out and vote and go out early voting, and we're trying to register people. I think this is the first time in a while that Republicans had more registered voters than Democrats. This is good signs that we have learned from our mistakes of 2020. And I think this is why I'm very optimistic, and why I'm pushing with this video to advocate more for Donald Trump, advocate more for why people should consider the Republican Party as early voting's going and as early voting starts next week in Florida and other states as well. I want to use this as an opportunity to hopefully, maybe, get some people to come around to how I'm viewing these things, right? Before I go on to the next segment, LJ Taylor said, I'd rather try to get them to listen to the gospel of Jesus. LOL, they get mad when I say anything positive about Trump. Bruh, I feel your pain, Taylor. I feel your pain. My mom looked at me sideways like, and you know she Haitian too, so she been throwing he said they eat cats and dogs. And I'm like, mom, mom, mom. Look, I wasn't born in Haiti, but I was like, mom, years ago, my sister is like 11 years older than me, and other black people used to call Haitians cat eaters. Okay, so I'm just saying, look. It's because like Haitians, we're prideful people, so we don't like to admit like things that make us look bad. And I think that's what's going on with the whole Trump thing. I think that's the main reason she don't want to vote for Trump. Silly reason, yeah, but she felt like she got embarrassed by Trump, so she don't want to vote for him. But that's one L for me. But I'm trying to make it up somewhere else. Elon Musk said that with 4 more years of Kamala, we'll have Mad Max. Do you guys believe this? How many? I think a lot of people believe this because I believe this. F it, I believe it. Elon warned residents of Pennsylvania on Thursday that if Vice President Kamala Harris gets another 4 years, America will look like a dystopian, post-apocalyptic Mad Max. I mean, with the way food is costing, people might people might resort to some stuff, bro. I'm being serious. People might actually resort to stealing food, right? And the panelists on CNN, our favorite news network, right? We're going to move into the more clips section of my video. The people in CNN, bro, they can't understand why Republicans feel this way. And I think Elon Musk is touching on something, and I want to kind of iterate this segment. And I think it's a very good segment to share for many people who want to get the understanding of why people want to vote for Trump. So let's take a look.
So many of the conservatives feel this way secretly about Donald Trump. Why not just take the hit for 4 years, let him lose, and then get your party back? Why do we keep defending this person that everyone clearly doesn't respect?
And most Republicans don't think they could survive 4 more years of Kamala Harris as a country.
In what way?
Open borders, 6 million people coming across the border. We did have high inflation, horrible foreign policy, wars across the globe that didn't happen while Trump was president. There was the reshoring of manufacturing. Didn't happen.
I'm not going to let you do that.
I mean, I could sit there and do the whole.
I could do the whole thing too, but we're not going to do that.
Or is it that, or is it just about raw political power? Because I mean, Mitch McConnell.
I finally got my first disagreement comment today. Jennifer Williams says a lot of the people who don't want to group themselves in with and support the same candidate as the people who attacked and terrorized the Capitol on January 6th. I could say the same thing about the Democratic Party and BLM. BLM terrorized and attacked people on the street when they were robbing, stealing, taking merchandise from people. I could play the moral game too. Seattle burning the city damn near to the ground. You forgot about Chaz, Jennifer Williams. Did you forget about Chaz? You remember Chaz? The autonomous zone made in Seattle where it was lawless. They actually kicked out the government. They prevented paramedics from coming inside that little area that they controlled where people were getting sexually assaulted, killed. Yeah, I don't want to group myself with a party that endorsed, supported, and kept silent about that happening. But we seem to have a short-term memory, all right? I don't want to support a party that keeps trying to bring us back into a past that long left. Like if BLM is allowed, like think about it. Democrats was bailing out BLM rioters. Tell me Republicans trying to bail out January 6ers. I'm waiting. And many people, if you look at some of the tapes that came out for January 6th, most of the people were peaceful. Just like you claim, Jennifer Williams or Democrats. Y'all like to claim that BLM was mostly peaceful and that a few bad apples ruined the whole movement. But you don't give that same courtesy to January 6ers. You see how disingenuous you are, Jennifer Williams? Or maybe, and Jennifer Williams is kind of the example of who I'm talking about, is that statistically, as a Democrat, Jennifer Williams, right? I'm just guessing she's a Democrat because Williams, I'm assuming you're black. You only get your news from left-wing sources. Left-wing sources ain't going to tell you what I just told you. But you want to sit here, preach to me, lecture to me, tell me I'm misinformed, right? I'm just saying I'm just saying. So like I said, it's about perspective. It's about context, right? We shouldn't be taking things out of context, right? But Trump seems to be you guys always seem to take Trump out of context. But God forbid, if we take Democrats out of context, you'll be the same one making excuses for them. But this is how I should handle disagreement, guys. I'm gonna try to more calm, not being so confrontational. I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to work on that spirit of mine. I'm a very like, I don't know if it's the Haitian culture I grew up in. We talk very direct, so I'm used to just being like, calling BS, right? But I digress. Let's continue with. Oh, actually, we're done with the clip. So I highlight that clip because this is something that, Democrats, they're like, oh, why people are so concerned about the Democratic Party. And this is how disingenuous the Democratic Party is. And I'm trying to find a clip before I continue with my video, because this is why I feel like I have to do this video. Or maybe I was called to do this video. Who knows? Elon Musk, this is Elon Musk's claim. Because remember, Elon Musk says, hey, look, if Kamala wins, it's going to be Mad Max up in here. And with the way inflation going, Legacy media, formerly the mainstream media, is a far-left propaganda machine. Why do you say that, Elon Musk? Well, according to this source here, I wish I could find where it's referencing, but this is a claim from the 1990s. Let's look at the graph, people. Let's look at the graph, right? Because, Democrats love to claim that conservatives spread misinformation. They love to claim that black men that support Donald Trump are misinformed. Look at the percentages from 1971 all the way up to 2022. Blue is Democrat, red is Republican, green is independent. Now, these journalists in 2022 claim that 51% of them are independents, but 36% of them are Democrats, right? 36%, and only 3.4% of them are Republicans. Now, let's look at partisan trust in mass media, right? This is where Jennifer Williams, I don't know why I keep saying it like that, but this is where she gets her information from. 70% of Democrats trust the mainstream media. So let me get this straight. Democrats believe that a news organization is accurate and fair because it's ran majority or a large percentage of them are Democrats. But independent voters like myself, 27, and Republicans damn sure don't, 14%, trust the mainstream media. But the Democrats never look at themselves and ask, why so many Americans don't trust the mainstream media anymore? If you look at certain polls, many Americans believe that the mainstream media is the reason why we are divided as a country. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. I know I said the truth, nothing but the truth, and only the truth. At least from how I see it. Right? And then when Donald Trump comes on with American first, these people mad. Right? When I say, hey, look, I'm a man, right? If we're talking about my body, my choice, as a man, I don't want my body to be shot up, chopped up in no foreign soil for Ukraine. Look, if you ask a man, hey, man, where would you rather die? Defending your country, defending your state, or going and helping a government that you did not elect in a foreign war? Men are going to be like, oh, hell no. I'd rather die right here in my front yard, defending my house, defending my family, than to go on some war for a war machine. And this is why I said the endorsements that Kamala Harris is getting is not helping her either. Especially if you thinking about, hey, we don't want the war to escalate. Kamala Harris and Biden has shown their incompetence on the foreign policy stage. One thing that is undisputed with Donald Trump, in my view, is that he ran foreign policy a lot more effective than Joe Biden. I just did videos about the tariffs. When Joe Biden uses tariffs, people laugh at him and think it's a game. When Donald Trump used tariffs, people are like, yo, this man might actually be serious. We better go and sit with this man. And that's the difference. Leadership. But I digress. Let me give my voice a break, and I want you guys to check out this clip.
Back on the idea of the we can't stand another 4 years of Kamala Harris, or we're afraid. She started this campaign with "they not like us" to kind of being like, oh, we're all kind of like the same. I agree with a few of them. I mean, we're taking
Which version of Kamala Harris? Because she's evolved so many times.
The one that's taking endorsements from Dick Cheney. I don't think you got that much
That is
to fear.
not a good endorsement.
I agree,
The
but
guy who got Iraq completely wrong. You guys agree.
Republicans, like not Republicans, conservatives like me, we don't F with the old school Republicans, right? I like to call myself a new blood Republican, like the Byron Donalds, those people who are aligned with Donald Trump. That's the future of the Republican Party. That's the Republican, that's the version of the Republican Party that's attracting young voters such as myself. I'm under 30. I'm 28 years old. Donald Trump, I understood where Republicans was coming from because my dad voted Republican in 2012 after he was disappointed with Obama in 2008, right? I come from a very politically diverse family, but, certain people, because of my skin color, they think, oh, yeah, you must come from a Democrat stronghold. Yeah, I'm surrounded by Democrats. Doesn't mean in my own personal life I am a Democrat or my family was a Democrat. So I grew up like a centrist. I grew up in the middle for a lot of my life. Dad was Republican. He's practicality. Hey, everyone got to work. No one should be entitled to stuff. That's how I grew up under, my father. Now hearing these people saying, oh, as a black man, I'm supposed to sit here and expect someone to do something for me. I'm like, no, I don't expect anyone to do anything for me. And I think that's the difference between conservative men and liberal black men. But I digress. Let's continue.
No, but my
it's
point,
not the endorsement you want.
I agree that's not the endorsement she wants, but that's the endorsement she's gotten. I can't figure out why y'all so scared if that's the endorsement.
Because I don't want Dick Cheney in my party, let alone have him. No, but now he's in
not just
you got the war party.
It's Paul Rove.
Yes.
It's H.R. McMaster. It's General Mark Milley.
And I will say,
it's anyone that was
it's
in his
people you used to like.
with him.
No, I never did.
Did
you vote for George W. Bush?
Hold on, one at a time. We
Did
really
you vote for
can't all
George W.
talk at
Bush?
the same time.
Did you vote for George W. Bush?
No, I was still Canadian then.
Okay, well, would you have? Because if you would have.
No, that's actually what made me become an American. Because I
Is
thought
George
I
W.
cannot
Bush.
do one more election where I don't get a say
So then
in who the
why
president
are
is.
you going to vote for somebody who has all the George W. Bush people clamoring to support her?
Because everyone that's clamoring to support her realizes that we are holding on to democracy with a giant umbrella.
That's a story that a lot of Democrat voters who are going to vote for Harris are telling themselves. It's a threat to democracy. How Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Even after January 6th, that the Democrats love to fearmonger about, Donald Trump still left the office willingly. Like, you didn't have to take him out in handcuffs. You didn't have to enact the military to get him out. He just left. Yeah, he had bad sportsmanship. So what? He still left office. Because he believed he didn't lose. And if someone believed that they didn't lose, still left the office of United States of America without a fight, then how you sitting here complaining that January 6th was some big thing? And this is why I laugh about. Like, Democrats have such a low standards for their own people, for their own party. They had BLM, Summer of Love, all this crime. They killed more people. BLM riots killed more people than January 6th riots. Yet, I'm supposed to be so concerned about January 6th. When more lives was lost during BLM, more property was damaged under BLM than January 6th. But January 6th is the only thing media talking heads on CNN, at least the liberal ones, which is 36% of them, all they can talk about is January 6th. But they don't talk about BLM. But a threat to democracy. When during the Summer of Love, there was a Chaz zone where they made an autonomous zone with no government jurisdiction in it. Paramedics couldn't go through. Police couldn't go in there. It was anarchy in that zone. But they don't categorize Chaz as an insurrection. But January 6th, people was unarmed. Most of them were peaceful, if I wanted to steal their narrative of BLM. But because a few people broke things, took dumps on Pelosi's desk, right? You want to cascade the whole crowd as evil. Oh my God, it was a dark day of democracy. This is why men don't fall for this crap. This is why many people ain't falling for this crap. Most people see it as, yeah, it was a mass gathering that got out of hand. That's how most people are seeing it now. especially 3 years later. Like, imagine 3 years talking about something that happened 3 years ago. Do you remember what you were wearing Christmas Day in 2021? No. But they expect you to remember January 6th. I'm tired, bro. And I think many Americans are tired too. Because I think a lot of these journalists, they use the American people in reality to push what they want to hear. Let's continue with the clip, and then I got another one for you after this one.
And then there is this man that the people who have worked with him and know him best call a fascist who wants to round up political enemies and round up people in camps. And they say, we know we don't agree. And
that's a assumption, right? But she wants you to believe it as fact, right? Donald Trump don't have a list. I know Democrats have a list. I know Democrats was calling for, we need to re-educate Trump voters after they won the 2020 election. But look at all the assertions they're making. Projection at best.
We know we go from Nina Turner all the way to Dick
They have been
Cheney,
wrong about everything for 20 years.
Oh, they've been wrong about
yes,
everything,
Iraq,
but you've been right about...
the Wall Street. I mean, these are people who...
So wait, hang on.
Dick Cheney left office with a 20...
And that's what I would tell a Democratic voter. When they spew these little talking points to me, I'm like, yo, these people been wrong about all this ish, and you still trust them? Like I need some backup. I need a brother to help me out. I got you. I need a brother to help me out.
At the end of the day, I'm Trump because my eyes open. I can see that he was doing a lot better than what we going through right now. You can't even go to the grocery stores right now without making a life decision on what you want to get. You know, you got to compromise.
Remember when I on this video, it's famous on my videos, there's a Guardian post where they said that Americans falsely believe that the economy isn't good under Biden. Remember that? That was 4 months ago. 4 months ago, these liberal journalists was telling you that you falsely believe that the economy was bad, right? And you just saw with on CNN panel got called out by a conservative. Hey, these people you referencing, these people you saying, oh yeah, we need to trust them, we need to support them. They've been wrong about everything they open their goddamn mouth about. And you expect me to trust them? Ha!
We don't have to go through that 4 years ago.
You know, just being able to just live on a day-to-day basis, it has become a little harder at this point in time.
At the end of the day, I'm...
Boy, these people don't know what they just awoken, bro. You can only lie to someone in their face for so long till they realize the rules you're putting them on. I got another clip for y'all guys.
A lot of Americans look at how much money we've allocated to Ukraine, and a lot of people wonder, why are we spending so much money on this conflict? When is it going to end?
I get that, but you're skipping over the main part, which is that he said Zelensky should not have let the war start. Zelensky didn't start the war. Who
I agree with that. Putin obviously started the war. Yeah, I'm not negating that. My point is that a lot of people look at how much money we've spent on this conflict, and they're asking themselves,
And would Putin have started the war if Trump was in office? Strong leadership. Remember, you hear the stories of these Republican congressmen talking about how Donald Trump literally told Putin, yeah, I'll bomb Moscow if you ever set a foot in Ukraine. And what Biden said, what are your words to Putin, President Biden? Don't. What did Putin did? He did it anyway because he's like, oh, what this soft old man gonna tell me what to do? And he went into Ukraine. Leadership. Like, one thing I wrote down as one of my show notes, right, is that we need to be more politically mature as voters, right? Because at the end of the day, we can blame politicians only so much. Because at the end of the day, it's representative government. We have the power to choose who we choose to represent us. And we let Joe Biden and the Democrats represent us and look at the outcomes that we got today. So it's hard to put all the blame on our government, our corrupt officials, because who put them there? How they got there? They were able to convince voters to vote for them there. This is how I reverse engineer, and this is this is why I wanted my videos to be about this. As early voting's going on, as early voting start next week here in Florida, I wanted to talk to the American people and be like, yo, guys, come on. The Democrats ain't the answer. The Democrats ain't the answer because 3.5 years, We had Kamala, co-pilot Kamala, co-pilot Harris. That's my nickname for her. We had co-pilot Harris helping Joe Biden break 33 tie-breaking votes. He was responsible for passing 33 bills. 33 times Kamala Harris was called to vote for the Democratic Party. Called to vote for a lot of these policies that causes the inflation that we're dealing with today. And you think it's a smart idea to give her another 4 years to do the same mess? Because at the end of the day, you can't out-program your habits. And Kamala Harris has some bad habits. Look at her campaign. In one of my videos, I put Kamala Harris campaign is pending, like the collapse of Kamala Harris is pending, or something like that. I think I titled it something like that. 1 month after I made that video, it's obvious she's imploding. It's obvious that she's collapsing. And I predicted that because of what she did 2020. End of the day, you're only as good as your habits. If you have bad habits, you're going to get bad results. That's the end. Look at Kamala. Scripted, don't know how to talk off the cuff, scared of confrontation, don't know how to deal with people. Do you guys know, and this is what I used to tell my mom. I was like, Kamala has no ability to talk to anyone that's not a Democrat. That's the reality of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris does not know how to talk to somebody that don't agree with her. And I think that's the most important thing you need as a politician, to be able to talk to people who don't see it your way. Cheesework asks, did you watch Trump last night? He was hilarious. I got a video. I already did the video on it, bro. Cheeseworks. I got the video out already. You can see my reaction there. But yeah, it was hilarious. I'm mad I didn't see it live, but the clips was hilarious. Especially the one about Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, don't worry. If I win, the consolation prize is that you still have a chance to become the first woman president. That is crazy. My man was roasting. Woo-wee. I think the funniest one was, damn, now you got me thinking about the jokes. I think the funniest one was the one about Tim Walz. One of the, Tim Walz saying that, hey, don't do the Tim Walz suppression because then he'll say he was here. I was like, yo, this man called it out a lot. That man, a liar. That's crazy. But let's continue. We're getting back to serious business now.
The roads are crumbling. My schools suck. We just had major disasters across the country. FEMA doesn't have enough money allocated.
By the way, I don't live in that country.
For a lot of
I don't live in that country, by the way. America's not that horrible.
Brian, if you get out of New York and talk to regular people.
I don't live in New York. I live in a normal city, in a normal town. My roads are not, I love New York, but my roads are not crumbling. My schools don't suck. I just get tired of the anti-America rhetoric.
Maybe you're fortunate enough to put your kids in darn good schools, but there are a lot. Let me finish
public schools
there are
in
a lot of people in this country
I just think all
who
the
aren't wealthy,
anti-America
who
stuff
don't
is
live
so
in great cities,
tiring.
who do have to send their kids to terrible schools.
And that's the reality, especially in the black community.
That is a fact, because
especially not in the black community, especially in poor communities.
Because of their zip codes. And to sit here arrogantly and say, well, my kids go to great schools. I live in a great neighborhood. That's your experience.
The roads are crumbling.
Most people in this country.
I mean,
come on, bro.
I just think what Chair Michael is saying, I mean, that is the point that you're making. Trump has taken that mantle up, but it used to be honest, the Democrats were the ones saying, let's get out of these wars. Let's get out of Vietnam. Let's get out of Afghanistan. Let's invest in America and inner cities. And Republicans would say, let's fund the Department of Defense. So that's the flip that's happening.
Yeah, it's a political realignment, right? And it just goes to show, right? Because, my third story for the day before we get into some more clips is let the states run the schools. Trump promised education overhaul during Fox and Friends interview, right? Many people are for school choice, right? For many reasons, because just like you saw the government, right? How many people it takes to move one small log is the same way the government handles our education system, right? As an example, the Department of Education was created under the Jimmy Carter administration. Before Jimmy Carter created the Department of Education, you know what the rank of American education system was? We were number 1 in the world in education in the 1970s. before Jimmy Carter created the Department of Education. Tell me, after the Department of Education was created, 2008, we were the 24th ranked education system in the world. We got worse after he created the Department of Education. As a common sense, as a critical thinking individual, if someone creates a product that made your services worse, what would you think should happen to the system? Shut it down, cut costs. But how is it that we spend, compared to the 1970s up till now, we spend more money in education and we get less quality education? Make it make sense. But they didn't want to get mad. Oh, the Republicans want to shut down schools. Republicans don't want your kids to learn how to read. The question I have is, do kids know how to read now? Do kids know how to read right now? Have you seen those the Gen Z videos when you ask them, yo, what's a math problem? They can't answer simple math problems. But they hear fear-mongering about, oh my God, they want to shut down education, right? Ryan James, I'm going to butcher his name, Grodowski, he was the guy you saw on the CNN panel, right? All we know how much his education has improved in the last 45 years, the Democrats. 45 years ago today, the Department of Education was created. Trump's Advanced Project 2025 plan will eliminate it. And my question to you as a voter is, should we eliminate something that before it was created, it cost us our top position in education as a country? The answer is a unanimous yes. Craziness. Baffling to me. And they have the goal to try to defend this stuff. Oh my God, it's annoying. Oh my God, I can't stand it. And they have the goal to sit here and try to gaslight you. These are the people who try to gaslight you. Look at that. The Democrats love to talk about representation. Is this representation? And the 51% of journalists that are not aligned politically, I think they're lying. Honestly, I think they're lying. I don't think they're independent voters for real. Because if you see the news covers Donald Trump 89% of the time negatively. You don't think that will breed a false perception? Oh, it's going to be a long one today. I don't think I'm going to be done till 6. This is going to be a long one today. I want to give a testimony. I'm moving on to the next segment. The black community, the black community, the most loyal voting bloc for the Democratic Party. You have people leaving this the most loyal Democrat voting bloc. People are leaving. Sentiment is changing. And you saw from the CNN panel, they admitted it. Republicans are now against war. Republicans don't want foreign wars anymore. They don't want foreign spending anymore. There's a political realignment happening, but they don't want to admit it. They want everyone to stay the same. Make it make sense. This is a testimony from Christy Kelly, right? Nice black lady with her husband, I think. I hope. I'm pretty sure it's her husband. Black people don't owe Kamala their vote. Newsflash, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016 or 2020. I held my nose and voted for Biden. And what happened? She looked at the outcome. She looked at the results. She said, damn, my purchasing power is down 20%. Inflation is through the roof. Joe Biden's bragging about forgiving student loan debt when majority of Americans don't have student loan debt, when a majority of Americans do not graduate from college. So he used taxpayer money to help his voting bloc, college-educated voters, college-indoctrinated voters, right? And people with a college degree, on average, makes more money than people without a college degree. So why is the taxes of people who didn't finish college, who didn't graduate college, who didn't put themselves in student loan debt, their money is paying for a minority of people who did go to that extent. And these people have a higher income than the people that you're pulling the taxpayer money from to pay off their student loan debt. Make it make sense. But you're talking about Republicans are the party of the rich. But don't college-educated people make more money than non-college-educated people? So why are you using non-college-educated people's tax money to pay off their student loans? Student loans only benefit a minority of people in America. Make it make sense. And to top it all off, it's been found, there's been studies, there's been analysis that's found that 27% of inflation could be blamed on student loan forgiveness. Make it make sense. So you're saying you forgave student loan debt. Majority of people didn't graduate college. Majority of people are not on student loan debt. Majority of those people on a bound of probabilities contribute more tax dollars than the college-educated people, but just because there's more of them. And then you use their tax dollars to forgive these group of voters tax dollars because overwhelmingly college-educated people vote for Democrats because they've been conditioned to, because if you look at academia, for every one conservative professor in college, there's 12. So you can call college a Democrat echo chamber, a Democrat propaganda machine, and you forgive their student loan debt. And then us doing that made it harder for everybody. And I'm supposed to vote for Kamala Harris because he forgives student loans. As a black man, I'm supposed to support that. Black men, historically, we have low college attendance. That means student loans is not our problem. But then you want us to vote on the fact that, oh yeah, they're going to forgive student loans, which causes inflation. That don't sound like something a black man should be voting for. That don't sound like anything men should be voting for. But you got black liberal women wagging their fingers telling me how I'm voting against my best interest. It sounds like if I vote for Kamala Harris, I'll be voting against my best interest. But I walked away from the Dems right after, realizing I made a mistake. God bless her. I can admit that the media had blinded me, as I just showed you proof of it before. I don't need to go back to that bridge. My husband and I used to argue about Trump. Sounds like me and my mom. Because he's always been red-pilled and saw through the fake news. Sound like me and my dad. I didn't. I always have been conservative, and I voted against my values. Yep, it's common in the black church. What? Growing up, I used to find it so strange. I'm like, wait, don't Democrats support abortion? How are we a black church and we all voting for Democrats? That used to always throw me off. This is why I don't argue with folks who irrationally dislike. She preaching to me. She preaching to me because this is my mom right now. I get it. Thank God I woke up, me and my husband and my 18-year-old plus 3 voters for Trump. This is what I'm trying to do right here. Me and my wife, we voting Trump. And I'm trying to get my neighbors to vote too. Right? And this is what I'm saying. It's not only black men. They like to, it seems like there's this narrative that it's black men walking away. I did videos where it's black men, it's black women. Right? They ain't playing with the Democrats today. Democrats, y'all need to sit down. Because all y'all do is perpetuate false narratives. Narratives versus the reality. Narrative. Oh, sorry. I messed up. Narrative. President Trump is ducking interviews. He's too weak and unstable. Why are they trying to hide him away? That's the narrative, right? The reality. Cumulative media appearances since becoming their party's presidential nominee. Donald Trump has done damn near double. Look at that. 20. Look, man damn near did 60 interviews, 60 media appearances. Man take a break for a month, and then they say, oh, they're ducking. Donald Trump's ducking interviews. Y'all remember this? Remember when you couldn't pay Kamala Harris to show herself for an interview? But now in the same breath, right? Now in October, she wants to pretend that Donald Trump is ducking interviews when her guy Joe Biden invented ducking interviews. Make it make sense. This don't make sense, guys. We can't vote for this. Y'all can't vote for this, bro. Y'all can't vote for this. Here's JD Vance putting a reporter in their place because, like I said, a lot of these reporters, they use the American people like a shield to get in what they want out of the conversation. And this is why I feel a lot about the presidential debates too. Because climate change, I never talked to a voter. Like, I never talked to any of my neighbors. Climate change never comes up. Climate change only comes up with, like, young people. But I never talked to an adult in my neighborhood, and we end up talking about climate change. That's never happened in an organic conversation. But these liberal reporters come out here and always somehow, it's a topic of conversations for candidates to react to. Make it make sense. Cheeseworks asked me a question before I go in. Do you feel the momentum is on Trump's side? I'm feeling really confident right now. Yes, I feel really confident right now. I feel so confident now that I want to empower and embolden people to try to advocate for Donald Trump. I tried, I failed with my family, but I'll make it up for it somewhere with my neighbors. And I'm not pushy about it either. I just randomly, like, let's say we're in conversation, I randomly bring up something like, yo, this election, man, it's gonna be crazy. I hope Trump can do something because it's getting crazy with the grocery prices. It gets them every time. It gets them every time. And if I'm talking to a young voter, just bring up the fact that when I went to go buy a house, I went to go buy a house in 2021. Sorry, not 2021. Yeah, 2021, right? In 2020, when Trump was in office, you would only have to make $75,000 a year to be able to afford a house. Now, to afford a house in 2024, you have to make $125,000. It seemed like it got harder for young people to buy a house. Many women are complaining about, because there was a stat that came out that single women owned houses more than single men. But at the same breath, single women are not complaining about the cost of home ownership because now it takes more money to maintain the house. Because of, say it with me, it starts with an I. It rhymes with nation, inflation. But you still want to vote Trump. You still want to vote for Harris. Let's get into this clip, and then we'll get into the main event.
For another day. I wanted to ask you about what you had said earlier in Pennsylvania about the 2020 election results. You've been asked that on the debate stage with Walls, and then again in the New York Times interview 5 times, and by other reporters.
Yes, look, ma'am, look, my answer on this, and I answered this question a million times when I ran for the Senate, the 2022 Republican primary. I've answered this question in the 2022 general election. I've answered this question 10 times recently. I think that big tech rigged the election in 2020. That's my view. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. But what?
You answer it now.
I'm sorry?
Why did you answer the question now? Why did you say no when you didn't say it before?
I've given that exact question for years. And this is such a preposterous thing that the American media does. I have given this answer to this question for literally years, and the American media wants to focus on what happened 4 years ago than the fact that North Carolinians can't afford groceries. I think that's a disgrace. Do your job and focus on the problems the American people care about rather than bullshit from 4 years ago.
Woo! Right? And then the same Democrats, they want to talk about how Donald Trump lives in the past. The pot caught in the kettle black. These people stay living in the past. These people, like, it's so annoying. Like, these people are so disingenuous, bro. It honestly annoys me that these people have like positions of influence and power in our community. And I just honestly, I find it very annoying. Right? Like, imagine condemning, Donald Trump, he's stuck in the past. He's stuck in the past. First question they ask him, will you concede the election if you lose 2020? Like, 2024 is a lot different than 2020. 2024, Trump's not in office. So even if Trump do lose the election, he has no way of certifying the election. And in my case, in my argument, I'll argue they should be asking the Democrats this question, because right now, Kamala Harris is the vice president. That means if Kamala Harris loses the 2024 election, she has to certify the election. I'm quiet for a reason. Imagine that. Imagine certifying the election to your opposition that you was running against, that you was calling a threat to democracy. So if we're asking the question, will you accept the results of election? Should it be going to Trump? Should that question be going to Trump, or should it be going to the Democrats and Kamala Harris? This is how a logical person is thinking. Like, I'm like, Trump has no mechanism to challenge the election using the federal government. But the Democrats, Kamala Harris does. So why the hell are you asking Donald Trump about whether he will accept the results of an election? And you want me to believe that journalism isn't biased? Hey, look, I just make my points and I give you what I get my information from. So the main event, I want to close out my live stream with this. Hopefully the next 15 minutes, it'll be a very good and informative one. Byron Donalds decided to do a debate on black media, right? And the reason I use black media is not for the fact that, I'm trying to appeal only to black voters, but it's a highlight to all Americans that this conversation is happening in Democrats' most loyal voting bloc. And if this makes, if I can get, in my calculus here is, if I can convince the most loyal, the people who comes from the most loyal voting bloc in the Democratic Party to see my points, articulate my point, because I believe the most loyal Democratic voters will be the harshest critics of my point. And this is why I highlight, the black community. And also I want to highlight how many people who do support Harris, I believe they're ignorant or tribal. They can't be, they could one or the other. They're either ignorant of the information, ignorant of how things actually work, or they're just tribal, aka they vote blue no matter who. It don't matter if it's a cup of tea with a D on it. It's better than any Republican ever. Malcolm X could run as a Republican, but if a cup of tea is a Democrat, they vote in Democrat. That's exactly how these people are. Very tribal. And I believe many people who tries to justify supporting Democrats, this is exactly what they're doing. But I digress. I'm gonna let this video play for like about 2 minutes straight. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted for it. And then I'll give my opinion after some time.
Second part, did you vote for expanding Medicaid?
Well, actually, I was going to ask you a question because you asked me once, so now I was going to.
I gave you a little bit of time. I want to. This is my time. I want to follow up with that. Did you vote for expanding Medicaid, helping expand Medicaid, or did you vote for the $2,000 cap on prescription drugs this year?
The $2,000 cap, I believe that was in the American Rescue Plan.
Did you vote for it?
Well, no, because it created inflation.
Okay, that's my point.
You can't ask one question.
No.
I know I was going to let it play for a couple minutes, but I had to interject here real quickly. Byron Donalds is right, because I always point out, hey, government spending is inflation, right? Many conservative economists, Milton Friedman is my reference point for this. Thomas Sowell is also my reference point for this. I taught myself economics pretty much from the book right here, as you can see, Basic Economics. That's pretty much how I taught myself economics. So when people say, you have, how you say it? Yeah, government spending creates inflation. Supply and demand. If there's more supply than demand, inflation. That's, you create more dollars, you print more dollars, you make the printing machine go blur, it causes inflation. This is why Bitcoin always go up the minute the Fed said we're going to print a lot of money. But this guy here don't understand that. They don't understand, and this is a Thomas Sowell quote, and then I'll get back into the video, is that you pay a cost for everything you do. There's a trade-off for everything you do. You want government benefits? You want to pay for those government benefits by printing more money? It's a trade-off. Your trade-off is you pay it by inflation. You wonder why the dollar lost 20% of its buying power? That's the cost of all the new government spending, all the new government benefits that you're getting from Kamala Harris's tie-breaking vote. This is why many conservatives, such as myself, hold Kamala Harris accountable and responsible, at least partly, for the state the country's in today. And majority of Americans agree with me that we're going in the wrong direction. And my pitch to you is, why would you vote for somebody who was the tie-breaking vote 33 times? She was the deciding vote for bills to pass, and not hold her responsible for the results and outcomes and the reality of what we are experiencing today in 2024, and why should you give that person a promotion? That's a question I need to be answered before I can even consider voting for Harris. But a lot of people miss that because all they've been fed is positive news of Kamala Harris. The media cover Kamala Harris 87% of the time positively. And you wonder why a lot of people they dislike Trump so much. They have such an emotional, a visceral reaction to Trump, yet they have a very neutral or positive view of Kamala Harris because of your news. Majority of the news are left-wing. 70% of Democrats trust the media. Boom. This is how you get to the reality of where if you even mention anything positive about Donald Trump, your mom look at you sideways like you speaking Chinese when you were speaking plain English. But I digress. Enough of my trauma trying to convince my mom to vote for Trump. Let's continue.
Yes
this is
or no?
the problem with these debates. You can't ask one question.
Okay. I want to know, did you vote for it? Because
Gary.
if you didn't vote for that, that's what benefits your grandmother and your grandfather, because now they don't have to pay over $2,000 a year for medical care costs. So when you talk about these things, talk about policies that actually impact working class people.
He did. He told you how Kamala's bad policies, Kamala's bad federal spending made your life harder. Student loan forgiveness contributed 27% to inflation. Make it make sense. But I digress. Let's continue.
Policies of Donald Trump benefit the wealthy, and those policies never trickle down to you. And just because a rich man's doing well doesn't mean you will.
Okay, count.
Okay, the talking points are cool, but let's get real. First and foremost, Seattle was the first city that went to a $15 minimum wage. I believe it was about 7 or 8 years ago. Do you know what happened to working people in the city of Seattle? Their hours were cut. Do you know why their hours were cut? Because the price per employee was so much higher that businesses had to start cutting back. People went from working 1 or 2 jobs to working 2 or 3 jobs in the city of Seattle. If you want to, hold on, Gary, now, I backed up. Now chill out for a minute now. Okay, now, if you want to go to the other thing about the minimum wage, if we want to have that economic conversation, another thing to understand, the prevailing wage, the prevailing market wage right now is significantly over the minimum wage.
That has always been the case, right? And minimum wage was initially made for like young people to like work, right? Hey, this is because minimum wage is meant for people who are trying to get their foot wet in the job market, right? And another point about minimum wage and why it's unsustainable, it never works, is because just look at the outcomes. Don't judge a policy by its intentions. Look at it from its outcomes. And if you want to get a better, like a deeper understanding of where I'm coming from, I have a channel trailer video on my YouTube webpage where I talk about how I became a conservative. And one of the biggest, I guess, principles of why I'm a conservative is results versus intentions. The intentions is I want people to get paid more. So let's raise the minimum wage. The results of minimum wage, people get their hours cut and they lose their job positions. All you got to do is look at California. California made it mandatory for paying drivers a certain wage. Overnight, all those jobs were lost. Overnight, the people fired all their drivers because the cost wasn't bringing enough money to justify paying them at the new minimum wage, right? And being a driver, like being a food delivery driver, shouldn't be a job that you use to sustain your family. And I think what's going on right now is like a lot of people feel entitled, right? Lazy. They're feeling comfortable staying in the same position and wanting to get paid more money. Like if I say, hey, I don't feel like doing all the hard work it takes to go to college, learn a skill, become an engineer, lawyer, or these high-paying, highly valued jobs because it's hard to do. I'd rather do the easy thing and drive valet. I should be able to feed my family on a valet salary. That's entitlement. That's not reality. And as a conservative, I'm due for self. So if I want money, if I want to be able to sustain my household, my wife, my 2 biracial kids, if I want to take care of them, I got to get a skill that will be able that will be able for me to afford that lifestyle. And that's some sacrifices. That is a what? Trade-offs. And I think this is what is where I go back to my point in the in the start of my video, is that we need to become more politically mature about these things. And political maturity is understanding that whatever party you vote for, there's pros and cons to voting for that party. And are you willing to live with the cons? The cons is, what the conservative movement is, everything's on you. The government takes a more passive role in your life. Less government intervention in your life. That's the conservative trade-off. The Democrat trade-off. The government has a lot of say in your life. The government has a lot of power over your life. The government takes a lot of resources from you and they manage it for you on your behalf. That's the trade-off with the Democratic Party. Their policies follow that exact simple summarization. And this is why I say if you vote Republican, is you believe that you can do better with your money than the government can. And if you vote Democrat, you believe that the government can do better with your money than you can. That's the reality. That's my simple, clear, Kenny politics 101 in a simplest form. I digress. Let's continue.
That's actually the real impact when you look at the minimum wage at any point in time over the last 50 years, that the market wage is always over the minimum wage. The minimum wage is a wage for entry-level employment. So if, my kids are 21, 17, 13, if they have to go work in a restaurant or work on a construction site or work in a hotel or doing something like that, and by the way, in construction, you make a lot more than the minimum wage, let's establish that. But if you're going to do that, they don't have the skill set to be able to demand a higher wage. That was the original purpose.
$7.25 an hour.
That was the original purpose of the minimum wage. And so I will tell you, and the economic data really over 50 years now has proven that the minimum wage is not really indicative of what people are making every single day.
The only way people get paid less than minimum wage if they're doing a tip job, like a valet, server. So that's why they rely heavily on tips, because they can make a lot of money on tips, right? And that saves some businesses some of that cost. And end of the day, those employees have to sign off on the fact that they're getting paid less than minimum wage. But many people do these tip jobs is because they know they can make well over the money because of how well their service is, because they get judged on outcomes. They get judged on their performance. That's what tip represents. That's what tipping represents. That you did such a good job, someone overpaid for your services because they thought it was that good and that valuable. And even if people did not agree with minimum wage, they didn't have to take the job. Free is free. It's like it's not mandatory. It's voluntary employment. You can choose to work for that company for a certain wage, or you can choose not to. If you feel like they undercut you, you can go to another competitor who's willing to pay you more, right? And it's because I think we became less business-minded and we became too entitled as a culture. And I think I blame our culture, how we've been socialized with a lot of these wishy-feely, the messaging from the left that, oh, you're good just the way you are. And you see it bleed into our politics, where people are not willing to want to change their ways and instead feel entitled that they should be provided a lifestyle for doing the same thing, where 50 years ago, everyone would have been like, yeah, if you want to make more money, find a different job. It's at will employment for a reason. This is why back then in the 60s, in the 50s, I believe, if I remember correctly, many people thought, and I kind of agree with this, is the best minimum wage is no minimum wage. Because end of the day, you let the market decide how valuable these jobs are. But when you put a certain standard, companies try to keep as low to that standard as possible. It takes out a variability, right? It's like sales. You can make money really quick or you don't, but it's all based on your performance, right? And I think that made us a more productive culture. But that's just, my views, my opinions. I want you guys to get this snippet because I got 5 minutes left. I really want you guys to hear this part from Byron Donalds. So I'm gonna stop talking.
And actually, when you raise the minimum wage, what ends up happening is you start pricing out low-skilled labor. What's happened at Panera Bread? What's happened at Walmart? What's happened at Costco? What's happened at McDonald's? All these companies, well, when you push a higher wage, what they are starting to do is move towards automation. So now there's less people working in those stores. What does that do to people who are trying to find ways to make ends meet? It gives them less ability to find a job and less ability to put money in their pocket. So specifically to the minimum wage, one quick thing, Tez, I'm gonna go quick on this one. When you want to talk about the American Rescue Plan, yes, they put a lot of things in that bill, like what you talked about with the out-of-pocket expense on prescription drugs. But let's be very clear. The American Rescue Plan is the bill that created the inflation that has been hurting every American, regardless of race, in the United States of America, except the rich. Who said that? Not me. Lawrence Summers, who was the economic advisor to Bill Clinton, because he came out when that bill came out and he said, do not do this. The economy doesn't need this stimulus. It's gonna cause inflation.
Look at the results, right? During the time, an economist made a claim, hey, this will cause inflation. Democrats did it anyway. What we had 3 years after the bill got passed, inflation. So should we trust a party? Should we reward a person that was a tie-breaking vote for a bill that was warned by an economist that it will cause inflation? Should we make her president of the United States? You gotta give me a like for this one. Yo, share this video with your friends, your family. Say, hey, look, I found this content creator. He spent an hour and 15 minutes, because I'm trying to go for an hour 15, explaining why you should not vote Democrat, why Democrats are panicking right now, why black men feel like they can't vote for Kamala Harris. It's not because she's a woman. It's because her priorities don't match up to what we want in outcomes. Because Kamala Harris, 33 times, she had a chance to get it right, and she got it wrong. She voted for every single bill that passed across her desk. She was the tie-breaking vote 33 times. And many of these bills that she advocated for caused to set us up in the same position that we're in today. And to me, insanity is voting for the same person, the same administration, over and over and over again, and expecting a different result. What's making people who voted for Kamala Harris expecting a different result? They're not. They're either blind, or what I really think it is that the only reason you guys are voting for Kamala Harris, I'm talking to Democratic voters now, I'm talking to people who are considering voting for Kamala Harris, it's based on feelings. You're politically immature because you can't recognize the trade-offs. You rather cut your nose to spite your face, right? You rather live in a high inflationary environment. You rather have a recession coming through, unless they redefine what a recession means. And you rather suffer under Democratic leadership than prosper over a Republican leadership. And that's the reality of many Democratic voters right now in 2024, because they don't vote based on logic. They don't vote based on information, principles. They vote based on party. And whatever the party says to do, you do, even if it means voting for somebody for the very first time. No Democratic voter today could say that they voted for Kamala Harris during the primary vote, during the primary process, during the primary election. When November 5th comes around, or when you do early voting, many of these Democratic voters will be voting for Kamala Harris for the first time ever. And you're the party of democracy? Sounds like you're a party of bureaucracy. Whatever the bureaucracy tells Democrat voters to do, you do. And then they get mad when black conservatives make the point that being a black conservative is like being the field slave running away from the plantation. And being a black Democrat is like being the house ninja. You just do what Massa tell you. How's that a bigger insult? Like, make it make sense. Massa tell you, vote for Kamala Harris. But I don't want Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris lost in 2019 because no one voted for her. She dropped out before anyone could vote for her. She didn't win the primary. Hey, you didn't give Democratic voters a chance to elect anybody else. We want to see alternatives. We want to have options. No, Kamala Harris deserves to be president because she's vice president and she's next in line. And Democratic voters threw their hands and said, okay. Democratic voters, especially the liberal journalists, they're talking about replacing Kamala Harris as VP. They're talking about how bad Kamala Harris was. I have YouTube shorts talking about it. Go back. CNN flashback. Go back. I have videos talking about this stuff. But now all of a sudden, because she's not Trump, you try to make her the best thing since sliced bread. Get out of here. So such disingenuous people. I'll let this video wrap up and then I'll give my final thoughts.
Larry Summers was right. House Republicans were right. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were wrong. So how are you going to entrust her with the economic future of our country when she's already damaged the last 4 years of purchasing power for the same people who need help today?
Okay, so I want you to counter to that, Gary. Then I believe we'll have a question from the audience, and then we want to get to the next topic. I want to make sure both of you have time.
I don't want to go into the details of everything he said, but what I will say is that no American should be making $7.25 an hour anyway.
Feelings. No American should be making no. You just forget the context he gave you. The purpose of the minimum wage was for young workers. Young workers generally are not expected to take care of themselves. They're still under the protection and guidance of their parents, right? But he just missed that. He just said you should feel entitled to stuff. I feel entitled to a Lamborghini, but do I have Lamborghini money? No. And it's the same thing. You shouldn't be entitled to what a job pays you for. If you want to make more money, have a skill that demands higher income. It's a simple equation. But the reality is it takes hard work to get those skills. It takes hard work to get paid a good wage, a livable wage. Doing what's easy doesn't get you paid a lot of money. And it seems like like the left and these progressives, they push a policy of entitlement. And I'm sick of it. You heard how Byron Donalds answered the question. Listen to how this guy answers the question or how he asks questions.
anywhere in this country. And if you got a congressman who supports keeping the federal minimum wage at $7.25 an hour, I don't care if you're 15, 16, or 21, you can't afford to pay a light bill on working 40 hours a week at $7.25
But let's be very clear. No American is making $7.25 an hour.
That's not true. I live in South Louisiana. I guarantee you I can find you somebody making $7.25 an hour.
It doesn't matter if you could find somebody. I bet you he's young. I bet you he had no job experience. I bet that's his first job. Everyone expects to make the least amount of money ever on their first job. Like listen to this. That's entitlement. And he didn't want to get into the specifics because he can't break down the issue like Byron Donalds just broke down the issue. This guy is a failed political activist. Gary Chambers, Google him. I think he tried to run for Congress and he smoked weed on a political ad and he thought he was going to be taken seriously as a political candidate. Make it make sense. These are the kind of people that's speaking up for black progressives. Black people, we need to do better, bro. That's why I'm saying we need more political maturity in our country. And 2024 is going to be the year of political maturity. We're going to find out how politically mature the American voter is. And I'm very optimistic that American voters are a lot more mature politically than they ever been because of the fact that they've been awakened by the mainstream media. It's blatantly obvious to see that you guys just don't like Trump and you want to make sure we don't like Trump. So you're only going to cover Trump in a negative light to give us rose-colored, or in this case, blue-colored lenses. You want us to see everything through a Democrat lens, regardless if it's true or not. And I think this will be my parting words for you guys in my live stream. I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate everyone else in the live stream today. Don't forget to like the video on your way out. Don't forget to share this video if you can. If you want a family member, you don't feel like convincing the family member, send them this video. Because I want to say I want to make an impact in this election. But I really think that this is a very important election that will decide literally the direction of the country. And I think we need more political maturity in this day and age. I think the time of voting based on feelings, we tried that. That was the 2020 election. The 2020 election was, let's vote on feelings. We want to return to normal. And what happened? Did America get built back better? No, it didn't. It got built back worse. And why the hell would you want to elect or vote for someone that helped make it happen? Kamala Harris, 33 tie-breaking votes. She voted 33 times as the tie-breaking vote to get a bill passed to Joe Biden. And I'm supposed to sit here and expect the media to tell me, oh, Kamala Harris is not responsible. That was Joe Biden. I'm not Joe Biden. I'm not Joe Biden. Yeah, you're right, Kamala. You're not Joe Biden. Joe Biden wasn't the reason 33 times that a bill got passed to his office. You're right. You did that. And you expect no accountability for that? I'm done. That's all I have to say. I think I made a solid case in an hour and 22 minutes. Timestamps will be out right after I'm done with this video. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Spend time with your families. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday. And I'll see you guys next week on Friday on my live streams. I do this live stream every Friday around 4:45 to 5 p.m. I hope to see you guys on the next one, and I hope you guys take care. Bye-bye.